Okay, so fpds.gov is the database where the purchasing agents track the set-asides. So they're guaranteeing 5% of the federal budget to veterans. When a purchasing agent hires a veteran and spends 5% of their budget with that veteran, they would post it in the system. Or if they spend, 1,000th%, every dime they spend on veterans and women and minorities and 8As and HubZone, service-disabled veterans, they put in this system until they meet that minimum criteria. Once they meet that minimum criteria, they'll stop posting in here for the rest of the year. So if they don't meet their minimum, then they're going to continue to post in here. Once they do meet their minimum, they're going to post to prove that they have. So best example I can give you, and this actually happens all the time. Matter of fact, it's a prime example of it right here. Oh, right there. I just happened to hit it right on the head. This is a simplified acquisition.
Okay.
See right here it says simplified acquisition?
Yes.
Okay. Set aside for service disabled veteran-owned small business. See how many offers received, number of offers received?
1.
Now, this contractor, this client only did $1 million in revenues last year with 13 employees. So he's not a big business. But the government gave him a $1 billion contract.
Gosh, what?
With a B.
I hear you. With the B.
Now,
wow.
There's a good chance they might have done this just so they could reach their set-aside requirements.
Okay.
If they're an agency that has a $50 billion budget and they're supposed to spend 23% of that with small businesses, how are they going to hit that 23% requirement unless they award 23 $1 billion contracts?
True.
To do it, 50,000 or 100,000 or even $1 million at a time, 23 billion, that's 230 million. I can't even do the math.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll award a big contract to a small business just to meet that set-aside requirement for the year. The problem is what the small business doesn't realize is when they do that, they're no longer a small business.
Okay.
So they might have, it's a good problem to have. Collecting $1 billion over the next year is a great problem to have. But if he doesn't run with it and realize what he's doing, next year he's no longer a small business. He can't do those contracts. Now he's competing against Raytheon and the big boys. So overnight, he's a big boy.
Okay. So everything from that point, he would have to look at unrestricted?
Exactly. So, and again, making a lot of money is a good problem to have.
Right.
I've seen people land a big contract like that and work it and then sell the business next year and walk away. It's
That's an option.
Yeah. It's kind of like the 8A program too, which is a 9-year program. A lot of people, well, what happens when my 8A runs out? I'm going to show you to get on a G.S.A. about year 3 into your 8A. So when your 8A does run out in 9 years, when you do it, graduate, you've got the G.S.A. to fall back on. But another solution is in 9 years, sell the business and retire.
Right.
Okay. It's feasible.
It is. So basically, this process, there are steps.
Pretty much, yes. I'll show you the steps here in a minute.
Okay.
I didn't check to make sure you're not in Wisconsin, right?
No,
Okay.
I'm in Virginia.
Now, this is the long-term solution to do everything that the federal government has available to you.
Okay.
Of course, you want to watch my videos, which you've already been doing. You have to register with the state, either as a DBA or an S Corp or an LLC, something like that.
Okay.
Once you're registered with the state, you're going to need to open a business checking and a merchant account so you can take credit cards. You can start with a personal checking if you want. It's not that big of a deal. Once you have the business checking and you can accept credit cards, then you're going to register with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, Dun & Bradstreet is not a government agency. They are private, for-profit, third party. Their agreement with the government is that they will give you a free DUNS number and put you in their system so the government can verify your financial information, and they have the right to sell you their credit monitoring services. You don't need their credit monitoring. I mean, once you're doing millions of dollars worth of business, their credit monitoring is not a bad idea. But you don't need it in the beginning because you're not doing any business. And they will sell you based on what they think you can afford. If they think you can afford $5,000, they'll sell you $5,000. If they think you can afford 500, they're going to sell you 500. Which to me is wrong. If you're going to sell people, sell them on a flat fee or something, or I don't know. That's just my opinion, but they're going to try and sell you their credit monitoring services. If you make it sound like you're broke, they won't bother selling you. Seriously. I get people that all the time, even on my trainings, they're like, John Wayne, you sold me that, and you're so correct. The way I tell people to approach it, when you call up, you're going to have to tell them the truth. You're going to have to tell them how much you made last year. You're going to have to give them your financial information. You don't want to lie to them. But just because you made $200,000 last year doesn't mean you got $200,000 on you right now. The way I tell people to approach it is to say, I want to get registered to do this little job for the government. They're going to pay $300 on this. And boy, I could really use that $300. If they think you're broke, they're not going to bother selling you anything. They're going to actually, 95% of the time, if they can't sell you anything, they'll actually just register you real quick and give you the DUNS number on the phone. To get you off the phone fast so they can get to the next guy who's going to buy something. All right? It sounds ludicrous, but if you don't take that approach and you fill out, especially if you pay them, it takes them a week or two to give you a DUNS number if you pay them. But if you don't pay them and they think you're broke, they'll give you a number. A lot of times, 95% of the time, they'll give it to you right there while you're on the phone with them to get you off the phone so they can get to the next guy to sell something to. All right? That'll save you a couple, 3 or 4 days, maybe even a week to get the number, and it'll save you some money that they're going to try and tell you have to pay, which you don't. All right. Once you're registered with Dun & Bradstreet, that's your primary step to do government contracts. From there, you're also going to want to register with your state Department of Transportation as a disadvantaged business and a woman or minority business enterprise, an MBE and a DBE. Okay? This takes 9 months to a year to do. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Okay? And I'm going to work with you, and we can't do these for you because they're state registrations. We don't do state registrations. We only do federal. Most people that attempt to do these not knowing what they're doing, they fail the first 2 times. It takes them 2.5 years to get these done. Because they failed the first time, and then they'll try it again. They failed the second time, and then you got to, some of these programs you got to wait. If you're declined or you're denied, you got to wait a whole year before you can do it again. Same thing with disability. Same thing with Social Security. A lot of people fail the first couple of times. Even veterans benefits, which that one really bothers me. Social Security, you pay into Social Security, it's your right. But, you know, you've paid your whole life into it. Waiting another 6 months to a year extra to get that money is not the end of the world.
Right.
Disability is not a right. It's a privilege. You know, if you're disabled, you have the privilege of getting disability, and the country will or taxpayers will give you money since you're disabled to help you. And that's, you know, that's fine. People who apply for disability, frequently they try it twice before they get it right. And a lot of times the second time they fail, they'll finally go to an attorney and have the attorney process it. And then the attorney gets half of their first year's benefits or something like that. And that's fine. Okay. The one that bothers me is veterans. When a veteran retires or gets his general or honorable discharge and he's released from his responsibility, he has the right, not a privilege, it's a right. They've fought for this country. They have the right to get their veterans benefits. Correct. Most people, a lot of veterans tell me they had to apply twice before they finally went and had an attorney do it and gave the attorney half their first year's, because it, you know, why are you going to wait 3 years to get your benefits? Might as well just get it done. Right. So unfortunately, these DOT contracts are similar to that. They're not easy, but I'm on your team. I'm going to help you with them, and you'll be able to get them done the first time. The beauty of these in the long run, because it takes 9 months to a year to process, but once you hold them, prime contractors will hire you as a sub just because you hold these. Okay. Okay? Because they have to hire women and veterans and minorities to keep their contracts, and they'll hire you just because you have these certifications because they can write it off. Okay. The DBE and the MB is where you might have heard of the term called a pass-through. Pass-throughs are frowned upon. In some ways, they're illegal. In some ways, it's almost impossible to prove it. So, you know, it still happens. But that's where a prime will hire a subcontractor and pay them just to show that they paid them X number of dollars to write that off. And then they don't even have them go do the work. Wow. So having an MBE and a DBE and an SDVE, all those certifications will help you get more work from primes, and they'll hire you just because you hold it. Okay. All right. You also want to register with primes as a subcontractor. Now, this is actually much easier than you would think, because most primes, like if I go and I search IBM subcontractors, I should be able to go to IBM's website, and that's where I download the document to fill out to sign up to become an IBM subcontractor. Okay. And we can do that with all the primes. A lot of them, Raytheon, SBLO, Raytheon Supplier Diversity. So a lot of times we can just go right to Raytheon's website, and they got a simple form to fill out to sign up as a supplier, a diversity supplier for Raytheon. Okay. Central supplier registration right there. So you want to eventually, I mean, it's going to take a time. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies out there, a lot of big primes that are doing work with the government. It's going to take a while to register with all of them, but that's a whole nother process. That's a whole nother area of business that most people don't even think of. Most people register with the government because one agency called them and said, I want to buy your widget. I need you to register. And they'll register, they'll sell that one widget, and then they'll never sell anything else because they don't know what they're doing. Right. Right? So you also want to register with your, if you want to do state contracts or county or city government contracts, you have to register with the state and the county and the cities to do contracts for them. Each state, each county is different. With the federal government, you do one registration. You can do business with any federal agency in any state. With the state government, you have to register in each state, each county, and each city government. All right. Each state, county, and city government also has disaster recovery divisions. You want to take the time to register in those eventually, because those will give you the benefit of, most states will declare a disaster before the feds do.
Right.
So if you're in the state of Virginia and the state of Virginia declares a disaster and they hire you 2 days later when FEMA's declared a disaster in that area, most likely FEMA will keep you because you're already working for the state. You're already in place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now,
Okay.
past that, we can do the rest of this for you. So you need to register in
Okay.
SAM. We do the SAM registration. We need to process your CCR and ORCA and DSBS and all that into SAM. We do that. You need to register with FEMA. We do that for you. We will build your capability statement. I will work with you and help you write your elevator pitch. We can't really write it for you because we don't really know how you do things differently, but you and I will work together on that.
Okay.
We'll register you for the simplified acquisition, the no bid contracts. We create a website for that program, which we provided at no charge. The reason why we do that is because most websites are not viewable by the government. So a purchasing agent wants to hire you and they go to click on your website to get your information. Your website doesn't load. They go to the next guy on the list.
Okay.
So we include a website with that program for free that we guarantee works through all federal firewalls to resolve that problem. Once you've been in business at least 1 year and they've got the portfolio to back it, then we do your 8A. But we don't want to do the 8A.
Okay.
We can't do the 8A as a startup because you have to be in business at least 1 year.
Okay.
And you need a solid, balanced portfolio of clients, which you and I have 1 year to build.
Okay.
All right. Wide area workflow. You're going to run into a contract eventually that requires wide area workflow in order to invoice and get paid. So we're going to need to set that up eventually. We're going to want to register you eventually as a woman or veteran owned. That takes 6 months to a year. That's not a short-term solution. And in the long term, in the grand scheme of things, maybe once your 8A's in place and you got a balanced portfolio and you're doing well, the contracts that we're going to be working on are non-G.S.A. contracts. They're 5 years and under. Once you've got your balanced portfolio and you're ready and you can handle it, you know, you've grown enough to take it on. We'll start doing your G.S.A. Schedule, which also takes a year to process. Probably about year 3 or year 4 into your 8A would be a good time. And G.S.A. will allow you to do longer, larger contracts. Like instead of 5 years and under, it'll be 20 years and under G.S.A.
Okay.
But everything's a process, and we don't want to dive in head first. We want to do it in the right order and take baby steps in the beginning. Crawl, then walk, then run, you know, and do it right.
Okay. Well, can you check to see how well I've done? So far, I've already registered in SAMS, which used to be the CCR.
Okay.
I have my DUNS number.
Okay.
I haven't registered with FEMA, I don't think I have that. But all that other good stuff, I'm basically set up with. I did the self-certification for the woman-owned small business.
Okay.
And I'm not certain if it took, or all I see when you log into it, you see it says it gives you a date as to when it expires. So I'm going to assume that the information that I submitted, it was good to go.
Do you know your cage code?
I do. It is 47. Let me get it right now. I got it right down. Where is it? Okay, yeah, 47VJ701. VJ7. It's 47VJ7.
47BJ7.
VJ7, yes.
Okay. You're going to want to figure out something that makes you so that you can memorize that real easily. So when a purchasing agent ever asks for it, you just blurt it out. You don't have to think about it or go find it. You just say, yep, it's 47VJ7. The best way I've found to help people learn their cage codes is just make up some stupid saying that it doesn't even have to make sense. but it's just a quick reminder, like 47, a disc jockey would be DJ, so 47 video jockeys, you know, ran 7 shows or something, whatever, something you can figure out. 47 VJs, just something that makes it rattle off your tongue when you think about it.
Okay.
Also, you want to learn the military alphabet if you don't know it.
What is that? The Alpha, Bravo,
Exactly.
Charlie, Delta,
Yep.
Echo.
Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike. If you learn it, it will help you communicate better. It will help you get things done quicker. It'll resolve problems. It's such a good tool. And when you use the military alphabet, a lot of purchasing officers are active or retired military. And when you use the military alphabet, they may assume that you're military, or maybe you got a big military family. They assume that you're part military or involved in the military somehow, which is a good thing. That builds trust.
Okay.
Now, of course, don't ever lie. Never, ever lie to the government.
Oh, no.
Whatever they assume is their problem. You know? If they assume that you're bigger or better than you are, then that's fine. There's no harm, no foul.
Right.
You know, every tool you've got to make it so that there's no reason for them to say no, the better off you are. And learning the military outfit is part of that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I don't see your website in here, which could be...
I don't have one.
Okay, and that makes sense.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I had one, and I took it down because it wasn't generating any business. So I felt it was pointless to continue to be paying, you know, a monthly fee for something that wasn't even generating business for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we're going to give you one for free anyway, so no worries.
Okay.
Okay. There's a few, you've done pretty good. There's a few discrepancies in here. There's no non-government federal certifications. Your equipment materials is blank. You can have up to 16 keywords. You definitely want to take advantage of this because this system is designed specifically for keyword searches.
Okay.
Definitely want to list any quality assurance standards. You've already answered the broker question. That's good. And you got some past performance listed. That's good. Okay.
Okay.
So we need to straighten that up. Not a major deal. We need to add the website, get it fixed. Let's check out. Was it 47 VJ7? That's right.
Yes. And see, I don't see the woman-owned self-certified showing in there.
Yeah, it's right here. You did the self-certified small disadvantage, so that's the SDVE. And you did the ED w.o.s.b, which is good.
They added all that in there, John, because I only did one.
Well, we need to get it updated in here so it actually shows your entrance date and your exit date on the SDVE.
Okay.
But your case manager can fix that. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and when you processed this, Sam, you did this, you self-certified, you did this on your own?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I kind of guessed that because the mandatory POC field is blank, which happens a lot when people self-certify. Your accounts receivable POC field is blank. Now, this is a major issue because imagine if a purchasing officer wants to hire you, but they don't see that you have an accounts receivable POC, and they're worried if they hire you, they won't be able to pay you. And if they can't pay you after you did a good job and did the job and they were happy with your work, but they can't pay you, now you're mad at them. You know, but in all actuality, it's not their fault. It's your fault because you didn't register properly to begin with for them to pay you.
I put all of that in there, and that's why I'm looking at this. I'm noticing some of the things that I have input. When I go back and I recheck it, it's gone.
Yeah, and the reason being is because it's not just one field you have to put it in. There's multiple fields you have to put it in.
There's multiple fields.
Yeah, it verifies across all fields. So if you miss one field, the other fields can't verify it, and then it leaves them all blank. I've had people, you know, call me, no, we fixed it. We fixed it. I go back in. It's, well, I just fixed it. I know, man, but if you're not doing it right, it's not going to save right. And I've had people do it 10 times before they finally come back and say, okay, I understand now. We're doing it wrong. But for a purchasing agent not to be able to pay you, that might scare them into not hiring you. Even though you had the best price and the best solution, they were afraid if they hired you, you would have problems getting paid and you'd get mad at them and they don't want the hassle. So they wound up going with somebody else. You don't want any reason for a purchasing agent to say no. You want to eliminate every possible reason, because that's, you know, anytime you do that, you might win another one that you wouldn't have won having no no's, you know. The other part that typically worries me is this part right here called the reps and certs, the representations and certifications. In itself, the government calls it 8 different things. They call it representations and certifications. They call it FAR and DFAR provisions. They call it Federal Acquisition Regulations, which is what FAR stands for. Some of them still call it ORCA, which doesn't exist anymore. And they also call it certs. Right there. The problem is most people who self-certify don't have the knowledge to understand how these are worded. I've been here since 2009. I've worked on over 3,000 federal procurement opportunities, worked on over 3,000 bids. And I don't know what FAR and DFAR provisions are, except the ones that I have to use, which is the 52.212-1 through 5. The rest of these I don't have to deal with to win contracts, so I'm not going to bother learning them if I don't have to deal with them. The problem with them is they're in lawyers' terms, they're red tape, and there's 68 of them. And what a lot of people do when they go in and they process them is they just go through and check off the boxes and say yes, 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 and then just be done with them. And I've even had the SBA tell people, yeah, just go through and check the boxes off, you'll be fine. So people process them and they don't even read them. The problem is...
I read them.
You read them all?
I read them all.
Okay, good, because you've certified that.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be an attorney.
Nice.
And when I graduated high school, that's what I wanted to go to college to be.
Right.
And when I went to orientation at Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, I didn't like the caliber of people that I was going to be working with, so to speak, and getting educated by. So I elected not to attend that university, and I went to my community college here at home. I mean, what they were going to be charging my parents and we're just not, you know, those type of people. You know how sometimes you meet people
I know
and
exactly.
it's like they're better than you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and they're snooty and snobby.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the environment for me. So yeah.
It's funny because I work with a lot of attorneys that when they first meet me, they got a real attitude, but once they realize they're wrong and I'm the only person that can help them, they're real nice real quick.
Yep.
we had an attorney at what's that college now? My mind just went blank. Very prestigious college. There's an attorney there that was actually contacted us in regards to these reps and certs and was very rude. And I'm an attorney. I can do this on my own. It was about 6 weeks later he called back. Completely different attitude. When he finally called back and knew he needed my help. The problem with these is that not only does the government make you certify that you have read them all, but the government makes you certify that you know you've done them correctly. And if they think you did them wrong on purpose, like you're trying to cheat the system, they can be subject to criminal prosecution and penalties. And the penalty is $10,000 to $100,000 per failure. So what a lot of people don't realize when they self-certify and they don't read these, or they do read them and didn't quite understand them and they made a mistake, they're putting themselves in a position to be liable. One of the things we're going to do, because I don't want any reason for a purchasing agent to say no, one of the things we're going to do in addition to getting you registered properly and going back through and me training you and helping you, your case manager is going to go back and redo all of this and then sign off on it. So if if there is a mistake made, knock on wood, you know, our purchasing agents have done 80,000 of these. They don't make mistakes, but we know nobody's perfect all the time. If there is a mistake on it, they pay the fines. They're responsible. It takes the liability off of you completely. The government can't say you were trying to cheat the system if you didn't process it. And it was processed by a third party who's not making money off your commissions, therefore there's no liability. One of the things I hate doing is going through and spending the time to help somebody bid on the contract, find out later they didn't win it because they had a discrepancy in their registrations. So in addition to fixing your SAM, they're also going to fix your DSBS. They're going to build a website, put it in here so you got a website for them to go to. The website works through all federal firewalls. And they're going to get you set up for those simplified acquisition, those no bid contracts. So have you been looking at those in FPDS?
Yes, I have.
Okay, because that's where this is where they track the set-asides for small businesses, and a lot of these are put in here as simplified acquisitions. So if we look at
let's look at bread.
What are these subsistence contracts?
These contracts here, various products. Let's see here. The first one was for audio and visual control equipment for the Museum of Virginia. Second one was for prison, and they needed some cassette tapes. They record all the incidents that happen when they have to do some physical disciplinary actions on inmates. And the last one for the city of where we were towing and disposing of their inoperable motor vehicles.
Gotcha.
And so to sum it up in a nutshell, I'm a broker. I tend to source any and everything that's on the planet, off the planet.
Awesome.
If I can get my hands on it.
Awesome. You know, I brokered in the late 80s, early 90s, and we made a killing at it. We did really good, and our profit margins were so tight. And there was so much competition, too. We were brokering hard drives and memory and computer components. And we were lucky if we got a 2% markup, you know, 2 or 3. Or if we got a 5% markup, we were ecstatic. And
absolutely.
If there was only 10 bidders, we were happy, you know. It's mind-boggling because in this system, the average markup's 15%, and there's rarely more than 3 offers.
Right.
So, for example,
but I'm noticing with this, Yeah, I'm noticing with this bread, and I'm tracking it really, really hard. A lot of these offers is only 1 to 3 max that they're receiving. But I'm noticing that it's going to the exact same company each and every time.
So for example, right here, of course, Bimbo's a big company.
Yes.
Flowers, they're big. So the primary vendors, Army and Air Force Exchange Service, Interstate Brands, Bimbo, East Baking, Earth Grains, Klosterman, Earth Grains again, Interstate, and Bimbo. Now, if it's a small business set aside, they can't bid on it direct. So those...
They're bidding, John. They are bidding. And that's what's got me puzzled. So I don't know whether they have broken down and set up like some little shell type companies that they're utilizing, and then maybe put like the corporate Bimbo as the subcontractor that they're going to use and working it that way. But see, this one here, number of offers received, only 2.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. I rarely see more than 3 offers received all the time.
Right, right. So I try to keep my pricing in that ring very, very competitive, but some of these prices that I see, they're just unrealistic. I saw one where they were selling, I do believe it was wheat bread, for like 89 cents a loaf. And I'm like, I need to go and get groceries there.
Right.
Because that's unheard of. You go in the grocery store, you're not going to find a loaf of wheat bread for 89 cents. If you do, run.
Yeah, the only place I see that is at the dollar store, and it's not 89, it's 99.
Absolutely. Or $1.
Well, on the entire planet, this is not just state, this is the entire planet under the keyword bread.
Okay.
There's only 61 profiles in the federal system. Now,
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but more than half of those are not compliant. I can tell you that right off the bat. So you can take 30 of those out of the picture. Because if you look, if they got a blank in here, they're not compliant, and it's about half. So that knocks it down to about 30 right there. You got people that distribute yeast, but they're not actually making bread. These guys do seafood that's breaded, so they're not selling bread.
They're not, no.
Breads, rolls, cookies, yes, they are. Fish, baked goods, sales and service of food equipment, they're not. So out of that 60, cut that in half, because half those people are not compliant. Then take that 30, cut that in half, because half those guys are selling equipment, not actually bread, or they're selling something that's breaded.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, you're probably looking at maybe 10 to 15 competitors that will be competing against you when brokering.
Not bad.
No, especially when you consider rarely do they get more than 3 or 4 offers. Statistically, then, if you submit 5 or 6 bids, you're going to win at least a couple of them.
Okay. Now, I have seen this LAM Wholesale LLC. I have seen them awarded some contracts. I have seen them.
Let's check them out.
Okay.
So I'm going to take their DUNS number.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing quite a few, actually. There's
yes, indeed.
201 that show up in here, but keep in mind, this system tracks less than 10% of the spending, so they've probably done close to 2,000 contracts.
Absolutely. I can believe that.
Commercial bakeries, miscellaneous food.
Yes. And they are supplying worldwide. You know, they're based out of Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
But they're sending this product all over the world.
Yes.
So myself personally, I'm trying to figure out what the hell am I doing incorrect. I've set up myself with the bakery that bakes direct. Got some pretty good pricing. The shipping rates, I really don't have a whole lot of control over that. But with all things considered, I don't know how these people are continue to book my tail.
You know, it could just boil down to the fact that the purchasing agents aren't hiring you because you don't have any past performance and they see too many discrepancies in your filing. They're scared.
Okay.
I can tell you this. I just did the International Glove Association convention in Tucson a couple of weeks ago. I guess it's been about a month already.
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew before I asked the question, out of the 50 people there, I said, how many of you are currently selling to the government? Probably about 10%. And 5 people raised their hands. And I said, out of you 5, I bet you only 1 or 2 of you is being really successful right now, and you're probably doing it mostly as a subcontractor, aren't you? And one guy raised his hand. He said, yeah, I'm doing really good as a sub. The other 4 people never even thought about doing business as a sub. They're selling as a prime, and they're not doing very well. I said, all right, out of the other 45 of you that are not currently selling to the government, how many know for a fact? And I said, watch, I bet you everybody puts their hand up. How many of you know for a fact that you're selling to people that are selling to the government right now? And all but one put their hand up, that they know for a fact they have clients they're selling to that are brokering their products to the government. And that's because they don't know how to use the system properly, or they're not registered properly, or a combination of both. They're making minor mistakes that are costing them every time.
Right.
Have you seen?
I had one in hand. But the contracting officer sold me a bunch of, hoopla and reposted it. And I can honestly say, I got frustrated and didn't want to deal with it because I looked at it as, I'm going to be working. I'm based in Virginia, but the work is actually in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
So I don't need to be putting out my money and running the risk of they finding the least little thing to turn the entire shipment around, and then I'm stuck.
Yeah. And that's
so I just kind of got,
Yeah, that's the tough part about brokering. And we ran into that back in, in the late 80s and early 90s when we were doing it. We didn't put anything at risk. They had to pay us up front or we weren't getting their product for them. The government's a little different. You're guaranteed with the government. You've got some fallback there. Even if they award a contract to you and your supplier falls through, everything says it's not negotiable, but that's the biggest load of BS ever. Everything on this planet's negotiable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you seen any of what TV Guy's doing?
I have listened to some of your videos, and yes, I have logged in and I've checked out what this guy's doing, and he's doing an amazing job considering brokering.
He's actually, I guess, based on what I was told, has been watching my videos. He's learning from me, even though he don't want to admit it. That's priceless because there was a time that I told him you need to hire people and you need to get on the 8A, and he said, nah, I don't need none of that. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing just fine. He told me I didn't know what I was talking about. But he's selling, he's moved into the food industry as well. He was just doing primarily like chemicals and petroleum and hardware, but now he's moved into the food industry as well, which shows you that there's definitely money out there for it.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And that's why I'm trying to follow him right now, because this is something that's purchased every day, all day. If not, it's quarterly. So I know it's coming. I know it's coming back.
He actually called me one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a while, but he called me and because the last time I talked to him, he was upset that I was teaching people how to broker. I'm making more brokers. That means there's more competition.
Right.
Which, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, if you look at the numbers in the grand scheme of things, if I brought on 100 brokers a month, I'm not doing a dent to him because in the federal system in SAM, there's 1.2 million for-profit vendors, but over 900,000 of them are inactive.
Right. Wow.
There's only 330,000 active for-profit vendors, which sounds like a lot, but when you consider there's 30 million small businesses in the United States, And only 300,000 of those are, well, there's only 300,000 active for-profit businesses in SAM, period. That doesn't mean they're small.
Right.
That's for-profit and
Right.
active. And there's 30 million small businesses in the U.S. I guarantee you not more than half of these are small business, probably less than half. But let's just say, for argument's sake, half are big, half are small. That only leaves 160,000 small businesses that are active.
Mm-hmm.
And we've only done 80,000 registrations. So I can only vouch for half of those 160,000 that they're even compliant.
Right.
So if you figure there's only 80,000 small businesses out of 30 million in the United States that can do government contracts, there's plenty of room for brokering.
Yes, it is.
And that's
And
how
I'm wondering how have these numbers changed? I see that has as of 2015 on there, when it's 2 years have passed now. So I'm wondering, has it actually gotten better, or have those numbers probably declined a little bit?
it's declined a little bit. And I can actually show you how to search that live right now. It's funny though, because when this system used to be CCR, there was over 600,000 active vendors.
Right.
Now that it's SAM, there's only about 80,000 small businesses that are active. So if you go to SAM and you go to search records, wait for it to load, go to the advanced search right here, entity.
Okay.
And we're going to go to socioeconomic status.
Okay.
And we're going to do, where's it? It's been a while since I've done this. It's not socioeconomic status, it's entity type.
Okay.
All awards. So that eliminates nonprofits and government agencies. That's the only people that are doing awards.
Okay.
And then we're going to put in okay, so that's all awards. We want active, yes. We don't want active exclusions, no. Actually, I'm going to leave that off because I'm just going to show you the people, if they have active exclusions, that they're still active though, even though they may have active exclusions. Even if they have federal debt, they can still be active. So I'm going to leave that, and we're going to go to socioeconomic status. Okay, so first we're just going to look for profit.
Okay.
So for-profit vendors that are active, 378,000 compared to 337. So it has gone up a little bit.
A little bit, yes.
Oh, you know what I probably did? I probably went through and took out everybody that had active exclusions. Let's try that.
Okay.
Because if you got an active exclusion or you got a federal delinquency, they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to hold that against you. But why would it could cause a problem? So why would they not choose you?
Right.
If you're going to make it more difficult on them by having an active exclusion or a federal debt. 368. So that didn't make much of a change.
Yeah.
Now, I know more than half of those are big business, but if we say half are big and half are small, that's still around 160.
Yeah, it is.
160, 170.
Okay.
Let's go to edit search. And now we're going to look and see which of those are women.
Okay.
It's gone down. It's down to 71,000 compared to almost 80,000 in 2015. It was 79,000, 69,000, excuse me.
Okay. Wow.
No, it's gone up. It's gone from 69 to 71.
It's gone up. 71.
Not much.
71. Not much. Like 2,000 increase.
Let's refine that. We're going to take the woman off, and we're going to see if the veterans have increased or decreased.
Okay.
Veterans have increased just a little bit.
So it's not much of a move there over 2 years.
No, from 39 to 41. What about minorities? Minorities have
60.
Almost the same. 61,836. 61.6. Actually gone down a couple hundred. No. 62. It's gone up a little bit.
It went up
Everything's gone up a little bit. Yeah, but not much.
Not much for a 2-year time frame.
Yeah, it's funny because I had the SBA reach out to me one day, and they're like, "We want to know where you're getting your numbers from." I was like, "What do you mean? Where am I getting
Really?
from?" They said, "You got this letter stating that you've got this information from the reference SBA." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I did reference your numbers in 5/20/15, but you know," and they're like, "Well, where are you getting these SAM numbers that you're referencing?" From SAM. Under the advanced search in SAM, you didn't read that part?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Everything so far about me tells me yes. About you, I mean, sorry. I have to, people say don't read a book by cover. I have to some extent. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you don't, you know, you don't want to read every book by its cover, but you got to kind of judge a book by its cover a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to wind up reading a lot of books, and you got to get halfway through the book before you realize it's not a very good book.
Right. You're absolutely right.
My client success ratio is almost 90% now, which is amazing because 5 years ago when I first started, it was about 50-50. About half the clients that hired me won contracts, and about half of them didn't. That bothered me. I don't, you know, number one, I just don't like people being upset with me, period. But it also bothered me that I realized that they could be more successful in the system, but there was things they were missing. And I needed to find out what they were missing and help them. So I started doing this training. And actually the biggest thing I started doing is requesting debriefings, which I'm going to teach you how to do. A debriefing is imperative. You know, when people say you do the same thing over and over and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity.
Right.
People do that with government contracts all the time. It's mind-boggling. I had a guy call me, told me they submitted 50 bids, didn't win none of them, not a single one. I want to hire you because we need to get this fixed. You know, I said, well, how come you're not winning them? He goes, well, hell, I don't know. That's why I'm hiring you. He didn't know you could even do a debriefing.
Wow.
I started doing debriefings on every opportunity I saw, even if I didn't bid on it, even if my client didn't even bid on it. If we were just looking at it in FBO, I'd put it on my watch list. And when it was awarded, I'd request a debriefing. About half the time, they'll give you that debriefing just because they don't want to mess with, you know, they don't want to bother. They'll just, yeah, here it is. Take it. Leave me alone. The other half of the time, if you didn't bid on it, they'll say, well, I didn't see that you were a prospective bidder, so I don't have to send you the debriefing, which they don't. And that's fine. But I started reading these debriefings and finding out why they chose who they did and why they didn't choose who they didn't choose. And I realized a lot of the times the people that were losing them were the same people, the people that were winning them were the same people, and the reasons why they were being hired were pretty much the same, just doing things correctly. That simple. The biggest problem is doing things correctly. Before I started doing proposal writing in 2009, I used to refer people to proposal writers. I referred one of my clients to a proposal writer to do a proposal for a nuclear power plant. And when they did the debriefing, because they didn't win it, the purchasing agent told them, you made a basic amateur mistake. You forgot to include the bid bond. Otherwise, you were our first choice. We would have awarded it to you. But you lost it because you forgot to include the bid bond. They didn't even forget to include the bid bond. They bought the bid bond. The proposal writer that they hired forgot to include it.
Wow.
Yeah. Not knowing what they were doing.
Did they get a refund?
Nope. Nope. Proposal writers don't give you any guarantee either. If you lose, oh well. I do give a guarantee. If you don't win that first contract, I'm going to keep helping you submit bids until you win one. I'm not giving up. And I'm not going to make you pay for each one. You know, if you pay me for one and I write it and you don't win it and it's my fault, I'm going to write bids for you until you win one. If you don't win it because
Okay.
your price was too high or something like that, you know, that's not either of our faults really, but I'm still going to help you until you win one.
Okay.
If I don't want your money, I want your business.
Right. And that's the difference.
Major, major difference.
Right. Yes.
Well, once I started learning how to actually write proposals, and I started writing proposals instead of referring that out, and my clients started winning contracts, and I trained them and helped them and educated them, that 50-50 went almost up to 90% now. I think the last report they ran was 89.7% of my clients are going to be successful this year. And that's up from just a few. It was 87 point something last year, and I'm at 89 point something now. So it's only gone up a few more points, but that's almost 90% of my clients will win a contract. And that's because of the knowledge.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's major. But because of that, I'm very picky about who I take on. I get a Caucasian male, you know, a white guy out in Texas saying, hey, I want to do business with the government, but you're not a veteran, you're not a minority, you're not woman-owned, and all you do is you know, weld hinges. You're not going to be,
right.
If you are going to be successful, it's going to be limited because you're, number one, you're too specific. You're not willing to broker.
Mm-hmm.
So you've only got a certain limited number of opportunities to bid on. You're a white guy. There's no set-asides for you. I'm sorry. I'm just giving you facts, you know.
Right.
You know, so the likelihood of you being successful is not. And I'd rather not take you on as a client and not have you win contracts. You, on the other hand, are willing to broker. You're already brokering. You're African-American, right?
Yes.
You're a woman.
Yes.
Have you served in the armed forces, the reserves? Are you a veteran?
No.
Okay. Have you ever checked to see if you're part Native American?
No, I haven't. But I think sometimes the way that I behave, I may be.
That's funny. You know, my grandma used to tell us, if you're part Native American, which, believe it or not, a lot of African American people are 1 or 2% Native American and don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're more than 1%, you may qualify for the 8A with that. You're probably going to qualify for the 8A anyway, but it's a long-term, it's a year to process. It's not something that's going to help us today. But you've got the ability and you've got the tools, you've got the set-asides to be successful. So basically what it's going to boil down to is all I can ask is your word that you're going to actually submit bids, that you're not going to submit one bid and not win it and quit. I had that happen. That other 10% of the people that don't, that's only 90%. It'll never be 100 because not everybody is willing to work for it. They'll submit one bid, they don't win it, and they give up. They'll make phone calls for a couple of days and not get anywhere and stop it. They'll stop making calls. If you give me your word that you're going to make calls, I'll teach you what to say and how to say it. I'll give you the names and numbers and their emails, and we'll build your cap statement for you to email it to them. But I can't pick up that phone and call these guys for you. And if you're willing to guarantee me that you're going to submit bids and you're not going to give up on me, I won't give up on you, and I'll take you on as a client.
I don't give up, John. I might give out. I don't give in, and I don't give up.
All right. Right. I mean, if you need to step back a couple of days and take a breath, or, you know, we submit 5 and we don't win one, you want to wait a couple of days to do the next one, that's fine. But we got to keep bidding and we got to keep calling, because if we do that, we're going to win one. And once we win one and we get in front of the right people, it'll snowball.
Okay. Well, I've already submitted 2. Just from looking at your videos. I've submitted 2, and I'm waiting to hear the outcome on those 2. And I watched your video on how to set up the searches in FBO by the keywords.
Okay.
So I've already implemented that and got that going, where I have solicitations that come to me, you know, in the email.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of, you know, going through that now to pick out some additional stuff, you know, that I'm interested in doing. So yeah, I'm determined, I'm focused, I'm dedicated.
Okay.
You know, so I believe with assistance, and you know, I have a strong faith in God. You know, so I strongly feel that all things are possible through Christ Jesus. So
if you believe, yep. If you truly believe,
I'm ready.
All right, this is what I can do for you.
Absolutely. You got to believe it to achieve it. Oh, one more thing, John. My HubZone.
Yes.
How do I get started with the paperwork on the HubZone? Because I put in the address, and I've noticed that they have us designated as a HubZone until July of 2017 this year. So I don't quite know what's going to happen after July 2017 with the designation.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, because once they decertify a HubZone, that typically means it's no longer a HubZone, period. And then you're no longer a HubZone vendor unless
Okay.
you're in another HubZone area or whatever. So I'll have to look into that. And the HubZone takes minimum 3 months, usually around 6 months to process. So it's not something that's going to help us immediately. What I usually suggest with the HubZone and the WOSB, because those are things that we could start on today, but they're not going to give us an immediate return. It's going to take 3 to 6 months to process.
Okay.
I always suggest people,
Okay.
wait until after you win your first contract, make some money. You can always add them later. Yes, you'll have to pay full price then, but does it really matter if you win a $5 million contract and make a lot of money? Does it really matter if you're paying full price or half price? No. Because I just don't.
Yes, it does, John. I'm a vegetarian.
It matters in the grand scheme of things. But if you can't afford to do it today, then let's wait. You know what I mean? We're better off then if that's the case, not putting yourself in a position where money's tight because you want to add everything now just to save half price.
Right.
When you could do it in 3 months after you win a $5 million contract and you $60,000 in profit. It's not going to put you in a bind then.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I don't know what you can afford, what you can't. So let's see what I can do for you. We get a lot of referrals from the government. Weekly, the government reaches out and says, hey, I need this. Matter of fact, I just got one yesterday.
Okay.
And he sent me a reply email this morning. Where is it? Right there.
Okay.
Oh, that's my son Adams, but that's her email. Let's see here. Copy, inbox, paste. It's really slow today.
It's Monday. No one wants to work on a Monday.
Yep.
Not even the computer system.
She sent me this Friday, and I think I replied to it this morning because I was in the training Friday, just saying thank you. She asked for hotels that were registered. She reached out, couldn't find any. Every hotel she called, so they had no idea what she was talking about when she asked them for their cage or their DUNS number. So she contacted me and said, can you refer me to some hotels? I did. She said, thank you. So I get referrals from the government. I get people that call up and say, hey, the government wants me to do this SAP program, get signed up for these simplified acquisitions, no bids. I've been trying it for 2 months. This purchasing agent I'm working with said that I could pay you and you would do it for me. Please help me. So we get, referrals from the government.
Wow.
The only reason why I'm not brokering myself is that specific fact right there. In order for me to do it, I would have to quit. I couldn't work here. I'd have to take all my videos down and delete them would be the best thing. And based on the last conversation I had with my attorney, I'd have to quit working here for 3 years. Not do anything government related to go deliver pizzas or something for 3 years. And then I could come back and broker because there's no conflict of interest.
Okay.
Having said that, if a government agency would have referred you and you would have went right to our website and signed up for Simplified Acquisitions, you would have paid $5,000.
Wow.
Right? And of course, if a purchasing agent says, hey, go do this and I can award this $500,000 contract that you're going to make $50,000 on, you're going to go do it without even thinking twice. Right? What I can do for you. I can get you the same program, but I can apply the voucher from the NBCC convention and get it down to $2,950. So I can save you $2,000 right off the bat. I can also, just don't tell anybody about this because I can't do this for everybody. I can give you 1 year of group training at no charge. That normally is a $2,000 program. I can give you 5 hours of personal training. So you got a bid that's due in an hour and you don't have time to get on the group training at 4. You got 5 hours of personal. I'll give you the AFPDS, which I haven't even told you about yet, but you're going to need it and you're going to love it.
Right.
That's normally $2,000. I can give you that at no charge.
Okay.
Do your SAM registration at no charge. We're going to go back through and do your DSBS, fix all that stuff you already did. Build the website, do the cap statement,
Okay.
all that stuff. It's over $10,000 in services. I can give you $2,950. So you're going to save over $8,000. Now, if you add,
Right.
if you add the WOSB, now it's normally $2,000 by itself, but if you add it to this, it goes half price. So if I added the WOSB in the HubZone,
Okay.
you'd be looking at extra $2,000, which is what you'd pay for one of them by itself. So that brings it back up to $4,950.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're not paying $4,000 for those, 6 months down the road. So I didn't, obviously not knowing where your finances are, I don't want to put you in a position where you can, have the money to pay for that, but then you're struggling. That's not going to benefit us. If we need to wait on the HubZone and the WOSB, right, since it takes 3 to 6 months to process, we'll wait after you win some contracts and then get it later. If not, if you want to do it now, it'll cut those in half for you. All right?
Okay.
How soon did you want to start working with me on these bids?
Make the money. Last week.
Yesterday?
last week, actually. I submitted 2 last week.
Nice.
But I think I did pretty good. Yeah, I did pretty good, I think.
Well, we have a program where we use the program to finance our clients. They do a soft check on your credit, so it's not a full check. I think they only use the last 4 digits of your social. It doesn't affect your credit. It's a soft check. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes to run you through it. I can transfer you over to my assistant, and she can run you through that real quick to see if you qualify for financing as well.
Okay. That'd be great.
Did you have any other questions for me at this point?
Not at this point.
Okay.
I think you pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
Excellent. Let me get you over to Angela. She'll run you through behalf. If you find out you qualify for, we did one last week. Guy qualified for $10,000 worth of financing. He went ahead and added the WOSB and the HubZone and the other stuff he wanted. Since he qualified, he just added it right there on the spot. So let me get you over to her, see if you can qualify for financing, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much.
You can thank me after you win your first contract.
Indeed. I'll fly to Florida. I already love the weather.
Indeed. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to actually, you're called in on the audio. I can't transfer you, but I can have her call you right back.
Okay. That's great.
And I'm emailing my number to you as well. What's the best number for her to call you?
It's 757-374-7458.
757-374-7458.
That's correct.
She will be giving you a call back here in just a few minutes.
All right. Sounds great.
You got it. Email's on its way. All right.
All right. All right, John. Be talking to you soon.
Likewise. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.